Hey everybody, so in today's video, we're kind of going to be doing a little bit of a story time, and I don't do story times very often. Not that many things exciting happens in my life, at least that I feel that I could make a good story time out of it. But today, I don't know what happened, but I just felt so compelled to talk about this, not for any particular reason. I was literally just driving home. I just put my daughter down for her nap. I was actually preparing to edit a video, and I was like, I really, like, it was just pressing on my heart to talk about this. So I'm kind of hoping that means that someone somewhere will benefit from this video. I'm really hoping, because this will not be an easy thing to talk about. But I'm rambling already, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into kind of what I want to talk about today. So where the heck do I even begin? So there, I share so much on my vlogs, but I feel like there's also so much that you guys still don't know about me. And one of those things is, like, before YouTube, before I started sharing my life, things that happened in my childhood. And before I even start the story time, I just want to let you know my childhood was amazing. I have so many amazing memories, but I struggled with a few things that I'm going to talk about today in hopes that it'll just help someone somewhere. So when I was little, keep in mind that I don't deal with any of this anymore as an adult, thank God. So when I was little, there were two major issues that I personally struggled with. The first one I'll talk about, which wasn't the bigger of the issue, but I don't even want to say that I had OCD as a child. I know nothing about OCD, so for me to be uneducated and to diagnose myself, I don't think that's right, and I don't want to offend anybody who genuinely has OCD, but I will explain why I kind of had the idea that if it's not OCD that I had, that it was something similar. So when I was little, I used to struggle with the most random tasks. Let me elaborate. Trying to think of some examples. I'm saying a lot because I'm trying to pull this all out of the memory bank that I have now stored way down deep inside and I thought would never resurface again. So I struggled with, there were certain things that I would repeat all the time. Not talking, like I wouldn't repeat, what I would say talking, but an example is, the biggest example, which is actually really embarrassing, has to do with my underwear. Oh my gosh. It sounds so silly now, but it was such a big deal when I was a kid. So when it came time to either change my undergarments, or after I got out of the shower and I was just putting clothing back on, my underwear was the hardest thing to get on and to keep on. How do I explain this without sounding like an absolute Looney Tune? I would put on, my underwear. I just pull it up like a normal human being, but it never felt right. It never felt like, I always thought that I put my underwear on backwards. So I would put them on, I would be like, okay, I knew in my head they're on right. Like I can see the tag. I would always check the tag. I'm like, the tag is facing this way, that's the back, this is the front. I would put on my underwear, and I would have to put on and take off my underwear and re-put it on about 15 times before I could get my pants on. Then once I said, like, I am seeing right now that I have underwear on that is facing the right way, leave my pants on. It would take every ounce of self-control that I had. Now I was like between 5 and 10 at this point. I don't know exactly what age, but I was young. So I'm trying to, like, convince myself, like it's on right. Do not take off your pants. Do not check. Like I was trying so hard to, like, almost train myself not to check because it was such a burden. It would take me 15 minutes just to change my clothes because I had to keep putting it on and off and on and off, and it was such an embarrassing thing. Now here I am, you know, 15 years later telling the entire world about my situation, but you know, when I was young, it was humiliating. I'm like, who am I gonna tell that I can't confidently put on underwear and keep it on and feel like I'm doing it the right way? And it was all psychological. Like, I would just panic and be like, it's not on right, it didn't feel right. Another example is my socks. That is why, to this day, if I do not have to wear socks, I will not. And I know some people are gonna think that is so unsanitary, but it bothers me more to wear them than not to wear them. And I'll tell you why. This is exactly why I don't like socks. There's a genuine reason. If you're wearing socks right now, look down at them. I actually am. Look down at your socks and you'll notice, like, across your toes or like at the tip of your toes, it has that like stitching line. There's like one line on the toes of your socks. That drove me insane when I was little. Like, I would constantly be pulling at my socks. Like, it drove me nuts. The feeling it had on my foot was so uncomfortable to the point that I just stopped wearing socks, because just like my underwear, I would put on my socks and try to fix that line, adjust it so it felt comfortable on my feet, and I would try to go throughout my day wearing those socks, and I would just end up taking them off because it was literally driving me freaking nuts. I'll give you one more well, there's actually two more examples. One's really quick, like with outlet covers. There was one time, and this is the only time that there had actually been something that genuinely happened that made me like keep checking. So my outlet in my old bedroom at my parents', I woke up one morning and it was smoking. Like, there was a little fire happening in this outlet. It caught fire. So ever since that night, now not anymore, I, you know, train myself not to do this anymore, but every single night when I lived in my parents' house, I would have to go over and touch the outlet cover and make sure that it wasn't hot. So I'd go over, you know, I'm just about to turn off my light, I have my pajamas on, I go over, I feel my outlet covers, I feel that it's cool to touch. I would go over, turn my lights on, turn my lights off, get into bed, get comfortable. 5 minutes would go by and I'd be like, was it warm? Was it hot? Or am I sure that it was cool? I would get out of bed, I would turn on my light, I would check the outlet. This happened. There were some nights where I genuinely did not sleep because I was just getting up and checking, getting up and checking, getting up and checking. And the biggest example that I can remember, because it drove me so insane that it just stuck with me for the rest of my life, was going to the bathroom. I always had a feeling that I constantly had to pee. Constantly. It was almost a UTI without having a UTI. It was like a psychological UTI. It was terrible. And I wouldn't even be able to leave my house without asking my mom, like, where are we going? Are they gonna have a bathroom there? Can I access a bathroom? Like, I need to be around a bathroom. And it made no sense to me. And like, to this day, I don't know why I had those problems and why I outgrew those problems, or like, maybe I just grew up and I was able to just convince myself, like, just stop. It was ruling my life, like just having to find a bathroom all the time and changing, I'm sorry, I stutter too, I'm just a mess. Changing, you know, 100 times a day and not being able to wear socks, and it was just, it affected my life so bad. I don't want to cry. Why am I crying? It affected my life so bad, and I already, like when I was little, I was already so bullied so bad, so to feel even more different from everybody, like, my mom would help me to an extent, but there was nothing she could really do. She would just listen to me when I got upset about something, but she couldn't stop me from checking the outlets 1,000 times. She couldn't put on my underwear for me and, you know, convince me that it was on the right way. Like, it was just, it's all psychological, and it was such a nightmare. But I just want to, like, you know, let someone know, if you're like going through the same thing, it sucks. Like, if anybody's gonna understand how you feel, like, I'm right here. And it was really, really hard, and just personally, I just outgrew it. I never went to a doctor for it. I never took medication for it, so I don't feel like you have to. I just truly feel like you need to find the will. That's what it took. You just need to find the will and be like, this is not how I'm gonna live my life anymore. The bathroom's not gonna control me. My clothing is not gonna control me. I'm gonna control it, and you move on. And that's probably the worst advice I could probably give you ever, but that is how I coped with it. So that's one of the things I kind of dealt with as a kid, and I just truly feel like I didn't just go through these things for no reason. Just because I'm not dealing with them as an adult, I was kind of thinking a couple of months ago actually, like just my memories were resurfacing, and I'm like, now as an adult, I don't deal with any of this. Like, why did I even have to go through that? What the heck was the purpose of that? But that's why I'm hoping that maybe there is a purpose. Maybe there's somebody out there that just really needs to hear what I have to say. So we'll get into the second thing that I dealt with as a kid, which was going on at the same time as this OCD thing that I was dealing with. So it made everything even harder, and oh my gosh, I think this is why I've never filmed this video, is because I am so afraid to share the next part because I don't know what you guys are gonna think. Like I don't know, and I won't know until I just get this video out. So so at the same time as all the, you know, OCD stuff going on and stuff, I dealt with something else that made me feel even weirder, that made me feel even more different from everybody I knew. I used to not see things. I did not see things. God, how do I even put this into words? I'm getting like, I don't know how to put it into words. Now that I'm sitting down to film this video, I can't even explain it. I never saw things, but I always knew, and I always sensed, and I always felt like there was something else in the room with me. Like I wanted to say I saw ghosts, but that's not true because I never physically saw apparitions or just, I wanted to say shadows, but that's a whole different story. I never saw like a physical thing. But I knew there was something else, or like some people, something constantly with me. Like no matter where I went, I always saw something. Like I would always think I saw shadows. Like I would never see something. Like if you're standing right in front of me, I never saw that. Like I would see it almost out of my peripheral vision. You know, if you kind of think you see someone out of the corner of your eye and then you turn and they're gone, that would happen to me literally constantly. I don't think I could have my eyes open without not seeing something on one side of me. So I was always so convinced that there was just something there, and like I believe, like I'm not getting into religion, and I don't want the comments to get into religion or like fighting over if ghosts are real or not, but like I personally, I'm a Christian. I have a very strong faith in God. I personally believe there is a God, and that is my belief, and that is okay to share. But at the same time, I do also believe in spirits, and not like ghosts, like ghosts, but I do believe in spirits. So, you know, I keep thinking like, okay, I do believe in these things, and I keep thinking I see these things, but it was so scary to me because I'm like, why do I see them? Like, why won't they leave me alone? And like, they never ever talk to me. They would never say anything to me. I would just always, sorry. I would always just see them out of the corner of my eye. And like today, I'll see something once in a great while, but I kind of just brush it off my shoulder. But as a kid, that was so scary. And to see it all the time, I even remember vividly, cannot even tell you what was going through my head at the time. But I remember like, oh my God, like it was yesterday. And this is the first time I'm talking about this ever to anyone, ever. I was on the bus and I was sitting on, like if you're sitting in the seat, I was sitting on the left side of the bus, the same side as the driver. And I remember we were driving to school and I was such an introvert because I felt so different and so weird from everybody else that I never fit in. And I remember just staring out the bus window. I would just do that every morning. I would just stare out the bus window and just think or listen to my music. And I remember we were driving past a field and I just started waving. Like I just started waving to somebody who was outside. Like I knew there were people out in that field and they waved back. Like again, I didn't physically see someone, but I was staring at, like, it was by the tree. I remember this, like it was by a tree and someone was standing there, but you could not see them, and I was waving at them and they were waving back to me, and I wasn't scared. I felt like they were my only friends at the time because I didn't really have any friends. So I know how batshit crazy I sound, I really do. I just, you know, so I would just constantly see things, and that also kind of is snowballing into another thing that I went through as a kid, where I used to have night terrors all the time, but it's kind of segueing from the story I was just telling you, because it involved these things that I saw. But there was some nights where it only really actually happened if I was sick. I actually noticed this a lot, like if I had a fever, not like a cold, like I had to have a temperature. But I used to get night terrors, and my mom said like I must have been getting night terrors since I was a baby, because I would wake up screaming as a child in the middle of the night, and just holding me would calm me down and lull me back to sleep. Obviously at that age I can't explain what's going on, but like as I got older, I would have these things called night terrors, where night terrors are basically nightmares, but when you wake up, the nightmare doesn't stop. It's still going on in your head, so it's playing out in front of you. Scariest thing. Oh my god. I thank God I haven't had that in a very long time. I hope I never do again. So I used to have this one very specific vivid dream that involved these people that I could not see. And what was so scary about them is they almost like came to life. Like they had faces. I could recognize them if I ever saw them again. And I'm sorry, this is so scary to me, because it's like, it's so vivid. It's so vivid. It's like, I could explain everything to you. So whenever I had these night terrors, it was the exact same reoccurring nightmare. And let me just explain the nightmare to you guys, and then I'll kind of explain how I dealt with it. So same nightmare every single time. I was in, I don't know where I was. I was outside somewhere. It made no sense. There were no landmarks to tell you where I was, but I was on sand. It didn't really seem like I was in the States, to be completely honest. It truly felt like somewhere Middle Eastern a little bit. I based that A off of the sand. It just looked, I don't know, I can't explain why I knew this, but I was just lying on sand in my dream. But the people also gave it away by the way they were dressed and stuff. And I remember the dream started and I was lying in the sand, and there was fighting going all around me. There was just people fighting, like almost like I was in the middle of a battleground. But I knew that the dream, like even as I was dreaming, I knew the dream wasn't real because it didn't make sense. The people were fighting, not with like swords, not with guns, but literally with blenders and like household appliances. So even though I was unconscious and like whatever state of mind that I was in, I knew it didn't make any sense. I knew it wasn't real because what they were fighting with didn't make any sense. But all these people around me were fighting and killing each other. And all of a sudden, like as I'm watching all of this going on, I'm still like laying on the sand, but I've like propped myself up to watch what's going on. and these two women come out of the crowd, like out of nowhere. One's a woman and one's like, it had to be her daughter. And they come over to me, they don't say a word to me, they just come over to me, and they had such kind faces. Like, they were not scary, they weren't angry, they were dirty. They had like dirt on them and stuff, and it looked like they had been part of this big battleground going on in front of me. But they walked over to me, walked right over to me, didn't say a word. They're both looking at me in the eye, like making eye contact. I believe they both had brown eyes. It's scary how vivid. I'm trying to give you as much detail without like going too crazy. But they had like, I don't know what it's called, but like when Middle Eastern women wear the robes, I don't think, oh God, now I'm questioning it, but no, the daughter was wearing the hood that they wear. The mother wasn't. I can't remember the mother's hair for some reason. Anyways, they walked over to me, and the mom, simply, all she did was she reached like in her side pocket and took out like 5 gold coins. Now this is the scariest part of the dream, because keep in mind, as I just mentioned, I knew it wasn't real because nothing around me made sense. So I was like, okay, I'm in a dream. I know that I'm having a night terror right now. But what was so scary was when the woman, she had the like 5 gold coins. They were like currency, but you know, we use bills, they use coins. And she comes over, and now at this point I'm like kind of laying back down again, and she just places them right on my chest. There were coins on my chest. I could feel them. I could feel the weight of them. As she put them down on my chest, I could feel the pressure of just the coins on my chest, and I could feel the cold of the metal on my chest. Like on top of my clothing, I could still feel the coolness on my chest, and I was like, what's going on? I thought this was a dream. Nothing is making sense except I can feel it. I can feel it. And like, that's not the first time that I've felt stuff in my dream. I remember waking up, this wasn't a night terror, but I do remember waking up from a shark attack dream. I was, swimming in the ocean, obviously, and a big old shark, which I'm terrified of, comes up and bites me. And when I woke up the next morning, it bit me on the arm. It bit me right here. When I woke up the next morning, I had bite marks on my arm. I don't think I could make this up. I really don't. I had freaking bite marks on my arm, and it looked like a human mark, so I'm just assuming that I bit myself in my dream, but like, I bit freaking hard then, and I don't remember biting myself. I don't remember this. All I remember is being attacked by a shark and waking up with a big bite mark on my arm. Like, why would I do that to myself in my sleep? And it freaked me out so freaking much, and I'm like totally freaked out by just talking about this garbage. But it was a total nightmare. Just, again, I had such an amazing childhood, but just dealing with all that garbage, I feel like that's a huge contribution to why I'm so like emotionally unstable. But it was just an absolute nightmare. And now again, grown up, I don't really deal with any of this stuff, and I'm like, I'm trying to convince myself that I didn't go through all that for no reason. I'm like, there's got to be a higher purpose of that. Maybe I'm being pushed to make this video because there's one person out there watching right now crying with me because they're going through the same thing and thought they were alone just like I did. And I really hope that there is just one person that this video can help. I don't care if this video gets no views except for that one. That's all I truly want out of this video, and it just sucked. I don't know. You guys know a little bit more about me that I really never truly thought I would share. But that's that. I have no idea how to end this video because it was kind of all over the place, and I feel weird now. I just want to edit the video. But I don't know. I love you guys so much as always, and it's so nice to just be able to come on and talk to somebody about this. So I always appreciate, you know, those of you who take the time to listen to me. But I love you guys so much, and hopefully you don't think I'm too much of a nutbag to come back. So I'm hoping to see you guys in the next video.